guys, how's it going? I'm back with a Mr. Nightmare video for you guys today. Happy Friday. Obviously this video is a bit delayed, but it's what it is. Three disturbing true au pair horror stories by Mr. Nightmare. I do not know what au pair means, so I did look it up. Let me start recording for a second. Starting. A young foreign person, typically a woman, who helps with housework or childcare in exchange for a room and board. So kind of like you're babysitting to stay in a place in a foreign country, sort of thing. I think. Never heard that in my life, but sure, we'll go with that. I'm assuming they'll explain it a bit in the video, maybe what that is, but 3 stories, 24 minutes. Okay, laptop's not going to die or anything, it should be fine. Okay, turn my brightness up a little bit. Okay guys, yeah, hopefully you guys have a good weekend. I'm off this weekend, which is good, so hopefully I have some plans. I don't, but we'll see what happens. I have an appointment in like 2 hours actually, so actually 1 hour. Damn, I gotta finish this. Julie Corbin. Okay.
When I first came to the United States, I was 20 years old and working as an au pair. I didn't have much experience.
Au pair. Okay, got it.
But I was eager, also very nervous. I'd grown up in a small town in France and hadn't ever spent time away from home, let alone across an ocean.
Yeah.
My English still needed work, but I was confident enough to get by. I expected it to be a good year, a new adventure, a cultural exchange, something I'd tell my friends about when I went home. I was matched with the Joseph family. I don't want to name the exact town for privacy reasons, but it was an upper middle class neighborhood. Quiet streets, nice houses, big backyards, the kind of place you'd expect to find well-behaved kids, PTA moms, and dads who worked non-stop. I remember being so relieved when I first arrived. I thought this would be easy. Nothing bad happens in places like this. The Josephs had 2 boys.
Bad stuff happens everywhere. It doesn't matter where the fuck you are, bro.
Brock and Brandon. Brock, the older one, was 12. He was a pretty typical kid. Kind of lazy, sometimes rude, but harmless overall. He made jokes, liked his Xbox, and mostly stayed out of trouble. Brandon, though, was different. He was 9 and already had this coldness to him. I don't know how else to describe it. There was something off. I think it's likely he had some kind of social disorder. When I first met him, he just stared at me without saying a word.
Yeah.
Not shy or embarrassed. Just...
Yeah, because I'm more so shy. Like, I want to talk sometimes, but I just can't. It's not even just to be rude. Like, someone says, hey, how's it going? I'm like, I'm good, how are you? Like, I'll stutter, you know what I mean? Not even on the I'm, but I'll be like, I'm good. I don't know, I'll just stumble, I'll stutter, and then I'm kind of like embarrassing myself. Or as they start walking away, I'm trying to leave, and then I'm trying to say, because they say, have a good day, I'm like, yeah, you too, but I can't even say it, because I don't know. It's embarrassing as fuck, like, it really is. But it's not because I'm being rude or anything, it's just because I'm fucking shy as hell. But he said not shy, so, interesting.
Staring like he was studying me. After a few seconds, he smiled and asked, are you the maid? I laughed awkwardly and said I was going to help look after him and his brother for the year. He didn't laugh with me, he just kept watching. It didn't take long to realize Brandon wasn't like the other kids. My host parents warned me that he was difficult. They said he had a bit of an attitude, but that was the understatement of the century.
Sass.
Brandon didn't just have an attitude, he was mean. And I don't mean the usual bratty stuff like teasing his brother or refusing to eat what he was served. It was worse than that. He lied constantly, about everything. He once told his teacher that Brock tried to choke him in the kitchen, which never happened. He told a neighbor that his parents locked him in a closet at night. He even told me that the last au pair ran away because of him, and she was never seen again. When I tried to scold him for it, he narrowed his eyes and said, don't tell me what to do. Everything was manageable for me, even at that point.
Damn, like 9 years old and he's already like so rude and difficult and sassy and just like, geez, bro, relax, like you're 9. Gee, like ground his ass, bro. Come on now, he's 9. Like, what's he gonna do? Well, I mean.
But I do admit that I was a little frightened of him. Things only got worse from there. One night, about 2 months in,
I feel like you need to discipline kids like that because he's a kid. He's not 19. He's 9, right? Like you can discipline him,
I pulled back
right?
my sheets and froze. There were thumbtacks scattered all over my mattress. I just stared for a second. Dozens, maybe 100 of them, were pointing upwards, waiting for me to lie down. My heart started racing.
Okay, that's a menace. That's a complete menace to society, bro.
The mattress cover had tiny punctures everywhere. I stood there in fear, realizing how close I'd come to lying on them. Brandon had been spying on me earlier that day. I'd caught him peeking through a crack in the door when I was folding clothes. I didn't think much of it at the time, just assumed he was being nosy. But after seeing all those thumbtacks, I wasn't so sure. I was honestly so scared. I didn't want to tell his parents, afraid that...
Bro, what if he kills you in your sleep or something, bro? Like this kid, I don't even know if he's just mean or rude or just sassy. Like, does he want to does he have like really really ill intent? Like, just like a mental illness that makes him want to I don't know. Like, does he want to kill you? Like, I feel like he wants to murder you or something. Jesus.
they'd send me back to France, so I cleaned up the mess and kept it to myself. After that, things became more and more strange. Brandon started following me around the house. I'd catch him peeking around corners, watching me from the doorways. Sometimes when I was cooking or reading, I'd look up to find him sitting across the room, staring without blinking. I never said anything. I must admit, I tried to avoid him as much as I could out of fear. One afternoon, I was watering flowers in the garden.
Why is there like a doorknob here and a doorknob here? Unless I'm tripping. But I don't know why I was looking at that and I was like, why is there 2 doorknobs on the same door?
When I smelled something off, a sharp, sour odor, like something rotting. I traced it to a corner of the yard where the soil looked freshly...
Bro, oh my god, did he kill an animal? Oh my god, if he killed an animal, you better run, bro.
disturbed. I was curious, so I grabbed one of those little garden shovels and started poking at the soil.
Oh no.
When I saw what was there, I nearly screamed. There were 3 dead rabbits buried there. Their bodies were twisted and cut in several places. One had its legs tied together with string. I ran inside to tell my host parents. Mr. and Mrs. Joseph looked concerned at first, until they pulled Brendan aside to ask him about it. He gave an innocent look and said it wasn't him. That was it. They believed him. Mrs. Joseph said it was probably one of the neighborhood kids and told Brendan to go back inside. I started sleeping with my bedroom door locked after that. A week later, I woke up in the middle of the night to a noise in my room. I opened my eyes and saw a shadow near my bed. It was Brandon. He was standing there, holding something. I blinked a few times and realized what it was.
A knife?
A kitchen knife.
Oh my god.
I screamed as loud as I could. By the time the parents came rushing in, the knife was gone. Brandon had shoved it under the bed. He convinced them that he'd been sleepwalking. Mrs. Joseph gave me an annoyed look, as if to say, "Why are you making such a fuss?" I pointed to the knife handle sticking out from under the bed and pleaded with them to believe me. Mr. Joseph knelt down, pulled it out, and showed it to Brandon. He just smiled and said he had never seen it before, and they of course believed him. I told them that my door had been locked, so he must have picked it, but they told me that was nonsense. I felt so alone. I had no one. I didn't know what to do. For better or worse, a decision was made for me. The next morning, Mrs. Joseph called me to the living room and said I had stolen her jewelry. I was completely confused until she held up a pearl necklace I had never seen before. She told me she had found it in my purse.
Bro, this Brendan, he's a menace. He's like a literal that's an understatement. Complete understatement. He's a monster.
She was holding in her other hand. I begged her to believe me, that I hadn't stolen it, but there was nothing I could say to convince her. Brandon stood in the hallway smiling to himself. I knew it was him. They fired me on the spot. I flew back to France the next day. I couldn't believe how easily Brandon had destroyed my life. For months afterwards, I was extremely depressed. I thought I had blown my one chance at living in the US and feared I wouldn't get another one. Fortunately, I found my way back to the States several years later and still live here.
Okay.
I have a good job and good friends. I still think about Brandon from time to time. I can only imagine the evil person he's grown up to become.
Bro, that's honestly terrifying, to be honest with you, because if he's already killing animals, He was in your room with a knife. He like, bro, he's by 14 he's gonna be in jail. He's 9. By 12 he might be in jail. Oh my god. That's very concerning. Parents don't care?
For most people, traveling alone is terrifying.
Same here.
Understandably so.
Yep.
For some reason, it's never bothered me all that much. I've always been quite independent and outgoing.
I hate being alone. I really hate being alone. But yeah, I'm always alone. So it is what it is.
So befriending new people comes naturally to me. It's probably one of the reasons I decided to become an au pair. Also, I've always wanted to become a child psychologist. In my opinion, one of the world's problems could be solved if children had better parenting and proper guidance.
Yep.
Beyond that, I've always wanted to experience America, so working as an au pair was something I seriously considered.
I didn't even know au pair was like an actual like a job, like a career, or not a career, but just like a job. Like I didn't think like, oh yeah, I'm an au pair. Like you say it as if that's your job, which I guess that is your job, but it's like I never even knew that was like a thing.
Originally from Germany, from a tiny village outside Cologne. Most Americans have never heard of it, so when people ask where I'm from, I usually just say Germany. It's easier that way. Before you say anything, I believe that my English is rather good, or so I'm told. It's gotten considerably better since living in the US, and people are often impressed by it. My father is originally from the UK, and did everything in his power to ensure that my English was as good as my German, if not better. I'm not sure if they have them here in the US, but I had an electronic dictionary growing up that doubled as a translator. I remember messing around with it a ton as a kid, plugging in words and translating them with my dad. I also read like crazy when I was younger, which I think definitely helped me. Anyway, my host family lives in a wealthy suburb in Northern California. Their house is unbelievable. You might think living here would be lonely, but the agency does a great job of connecting nearby au pairs, so I immediately clicked with a few girls in the surrounding neighborhoods. My best friend here is an American girl named Jennifer. She's great. She's like me, but a little louder and a little taller. We've been inseparable since we met. We're both here for the same reasons, working, exploring, and trying to make the most of our time abroad. There's a huge college campus nearby, and it's pretty much the only decent place to go out that isn't $100 Uber away. Both the frat and bar scenes there are pretty good, so that's where we spend most of our weekends. I think a lot of the guys are naturally drawn to us because of our accents, and the international card gets us
I don't know about you guys, but I love accents. Like I really love accents.
pretty far. It's supposedly difficult to get into frat parties without being in a sorority here, but we don't have much of an issue. The bars here are a lot more fun though. Our favorite spot is this bar called Tap. I've noticed Americans love giving their nights themes. Taco Tuesday, Wine Wednesday. I guess any excuse to drink on a weekday, you know? It's kind of funny. Tuesdays are the most enjoyable nights of the week for Jenny and I. This story takes place on one of those nights.
So Taco
About a few
Tuesday.
months after I arrived to the US, I was standing by the bar, waiting on drinks for Jenny and I, when this tall guy with curly brown hair approached me and said, "You're German, right?" That kind of threw me off. People almost never guess I'm German. European, sure, but not German specifically. I don't really have distinctive German features, so anytime anyone's able to guess my nationality, it fascinates me.
Yeah, because like sometimes I'm like, yeah, like you're from Mexico, right? And they're like, yep. How'd you know? And I'm like, I just know. I, I mean, today I thought someone was Filipino, but he's Chinese. So I was like, okay, well, my bad.
I laughed and told him he was right, and he introduced himself as Sebi with a confident smile.
Sebi.
We talked for a while, and everything was very natural. I'll admit, I get approached a lot when I go out. I'm in shape, and I know I'm decent looking, but guys are usually kind of obvious and cheesy when they talk to me. Sebi felt different. The more we talked, the more it seemed like he was actually interested in me as a person as opposed to just hitting on me.
Okay,
He
that's
knew a
good.
lot of tidbits about German culture, which was something I quite liked about him.
Okay.
A lot of the Americans I don't talk to don't know much about the rest of the world, so it was nice to talk to someone well-traveled, smart, and cultured.
Good.
We talked and laughed for a while longer before I introduced him to Jenny. He smiled and waved his friend over, an Asian guy who introduced himself as Hunter. He and Jenny immediately hit it off. All in all, it was a great time.
Okay.
Before the night ended,
A double date?
Sebi asked me for my number, and I gave it to him without hesitation. A few days later, Sebi invited me over for dinner. When I got to his place, I expected him to have dinner reservations ready or something, but instead he was cooking a pasta dish for us in the kitchen. It was quite sweet. I ended up helping him prepare the meal, and he opened a bottle of wine for us.
I don't know. I feel like you just met him and it's been a couple days, and I get that you hit it off and everything. Like you think that you can trust people, but you can't trust anybody nowadays, bro. Like you're in a horror story. You know what I mean? Like you're literally in a horror story, and I see the red flag already. Again, like hitting, like like you're chatting. You're in a bar. Okay, great. He buys you a drink. Okay, whatever. Nothing crazy. Like yeah, that's normal. Guys buying a girl a drink. That's normal. But it's like I don't know. Like when it comes to that kind of thing, it's like I don't know. Like you're not doing too much. It's just like you're going to his house now, and it's like, I'm like you're staying at his house. He's making you food. You don't know what he did to the food. You don't know if he poisoned it or something, or roofied it, whatever the whatever the word is. So don't trust people too quickly. I have the same issue. Trust me. I'm not saying I don't. I have the same issue, 100%. I gotta work on that too. But when it comes to this, you really gotta work on that. You gotta be careful, bro. You really do.
I had such a great time that I ended up sleeping over at his
Oh,
apartment.
great.
The next morning, I woke up and examined his room a little. Unlike most college apartments, it was quite clean. He didn't have any posters or typical decorations up, but rather a bunch of landscape pictures.
How old
His
is this
walls
guy?
were covered with dozens of square photographs, all black and white. Castles, cities, countryside views, they all looked oddly familiar. I got up and looked at them a little more closely, realizing they all had locations printed on them. They were all from Germany, every single one with the exception of a picture of Monte Carlo, Monaco. Sebi had woken up by then, so I turned and asked him jokingly if he had a thing for German architecture. He laughed and told me about his dad's aerial photo collection, which he had picked some of his favorites from.
So I guess it's the next day. You haven't been drugged or anything, as far as I can see yet. So that's obviously a good start.
I walked back towards his bed
But again, you're in a horror story, so I'm waiting for it.
and realized there were some more pictures above his bed. My jaw literally dropped when I saw that one of the pictures was a landscape of my village, taken from above. The picture was like 20 minutes from my house. I told him this, and he got rather excited, telling me what a crazy coincidence that was. I was amazed. The odds of that were so slim. He then asked me a bunch of questions about my hometown, which I was happy to answer.
I feel like that's like not a red flag, but it's like he was excited. Like that's weird. Like you know what I mean? It's like, does he know where you live? Like I just don't understand. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of scared now, to be honest, for this girl. I'm scared for her.
Over the next few weeks, Sebi and I spent a lot of time together. I was working, and he had class during the week, but we spent every weekend going out together, plus
Okay.
Tuesdays. Everything was great. He was a sweet guy and made sure I was comfortable and enjoying myself when we went out. He was
Okay.
also quite nice to my friends, which I appreciated.
I feel bad now because like everything seems to be going so good. It's like a few weeks or a couple months in. Everything seems great. Like they're hitting it off. It just sounds like a nice little love story. But again, it's in a horror story, so I'm waiting for the bad thing to happen. But this sucks because like I feel like everything's going so well, and of course something has to ruin it.
His friend Hunter turned out to be a little weird, though. Every time someone would play Take It Off by Fisher, he would quite literally start stripping in front of Jenny. One night, Sebi got rather drunk, significantly drunker than usual. As he was walking me to his apartment, he was going on and on about how much he loved German women and how he always wanted a German wife. At one point, he said he always wanted to marry an au pair because foreign girls are great with kids. I brushed it off as some weird fantasy, but that was the first thing he did or said that didn't sit well with me. Obviously not a deal breaker, though. He had been perfect up until then. But then came the first time he took me out to dinner. He took me to this Italian spot and told me he picked it because they had plenty of vegetarian options, which was sweet, but I never told him I was vegetarian. I gave him a little smile and playfully asked him how he knew I was vegetarian, and he told me he saw it in one of my Insta posts. That eased me for the rest of the dinner, but later, when I was back home, I realized my only post mentioning it was from years ago, and I post a lot, so you'd have to scroll pretty far to get there, let alone pick up on the caption I had used. And that's not even mentioning the fact that all my posts are from a long time ago in Germany. The next time I stayed over, while Sebi was asleep, I unlocked his phone. I remembered his password. He hadn't exactly been careful about hiding it. What I found in there was sickening. There was a folder in his camera roll titled Wife, which contained screenshots of my social media dating back months, Posts, captions, tagged locations, even screenshots of old stories I didn't even remember posting. His notes app was even worse. There were English translations of my old posts in there, plus a rough schedule of when and where I'd go out based on my Instagram story posts. There was information in there about my hometown, about Germany, about things I liked, all based on my Instagram, if you could believe it. But the worst thing I found in his phone was a photo of my driver's license. Everything hit me at once.
What?
The second night I had gone out in America, I had lost my wallet at a frat party, which had my ID in it. That's how he found my Instagram. That's how he knew everything. Where I was from, what I liked, my birthday. None of it was chance. He had planned all of it. There was a long, graphic message that went into disgusting detail about what he wanted to do to me, which I don't want to talk about. I didn't know who the guy in those messages was. I couldn't stand to look at everything anymore, so I grabbed my stuff and slipped out of his apartment without making a sound. Regrettably, I didn't take any photos for evidence. The whole drive back to my host family's house, my hands were shaking. Germans take privacy seriously. I felt sick. My au pair profile was private, but my ID? He had my full name, and with that, I knew he could have found anything. I didn't sleep that night. I prayed that he hadn't been able to figure out my host family's address. The next morning, my phone exploded with messages. They were all from Sebi, asking me where I went, why I left, if I went through his phone. I sent him one final message, telling him that if he ever tried to contact me again, I'd call the police. Then I blocked him on everything. For the next few days, I lived in perpetual fear, worrying that he'd show up at any moment. I privated my Instagram, locked everything down, and created a close friends story for when I went out, just in case he tried to find me again. Thankfully, he hasn't shown up yet, and it's been about 3 months since I last heard from him. Still though, I can't help but feeling this pit in my stomach that he knows my host family's address, and that he's planning something. I hope I never see him again, but I'll update if something else happens. Update. I hoped I wouldn't have to do this, but the past few weeks, I noticed the same silver car driving up and down my host family's street, sometimes just sitting across the street from their house. He's also tried to reach out to me through fake phone numbers and Instagram accounts, all within the same time frame. The messages always just ask me to talk, but I haven't responded to any of them. All of this gives me reason to believe he knows where I'm living, and that I'm potentially in danger. I'm building a case to present to the police, but I've heard that they don't take this kind of thing very seriously. Luckily, my au pair commitment ends soon, so I'll be back in Germany soon enough.
That's honestly really scary, bro. Like, that's... This is what I mean. Everything was going so good, everything went so good, everything went so well, and then this is exactly what happens. I'm not even done yet, sorry. But honestly, the parents in the first story are exactly why sharecroppers exist and how they're made. Their obliviousness and inability to acknowledge their kids' problems gives to kids. Exactly. I'll say more thoughts at the end, but that's fucking Jesus, bro. Anonymous.
This happened a few years ago. I've always wanted to live in Europe, ever since I was a kid. It was my lifelong dream. More than anything, though, I wanted to work with kids. I've always had a way with them, and I knew ever since I was little that I wouldn't be fully content with my life if my job didn't involve caring for or teaching kids in some capacity. So when I found out I could become an au pair in France, where I could use my French from high school and be part of the family, it felt like everything was falling into place. The decision wasn't easy. I'm from Canada, and the move was a big one, but France had favorable visa options for Canadians, and it was the perfect chance to improve my French, Canada's second language.
Yeah. To be honest, I'm trying to learn Spanish, not French, but I was always really good at French in high school. I tried taking it in grade 10, but then I guess they didn't have enough people that like signed up for it, so I couldn't take it. Well, otherwise I would have taken French grade 10, 11, 12, because I think you had to take it in grade 9, but then you didn't have to the other years, but I wanted to, but I guess we couldn't. But, Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Finally, a story from a Canadian.
Plus, I had a few friends in Paris, so I wouldn't be entirely alone there.
Okay.
Money, though, was a problem. I didn't have family support. I won't get into why, that's personal. But let's just say I was on my own. I couldn't afford one of those expensive agencies, so I used a free au pair website instead. Not ideal, but it was all I could manage. That's how I connected with Leah. Leah's ad was warm and straightforward. She needed help with her 2 kids while her husband traveled for work. She seemed wonderful, very polite and very friendly. On our video calls, she was quick to call me Cherie and Ma Belle, which felt different from home, but in a charming, motherly way. She asked a lot about me, how I was with kids, how I felt about family life, but didn't talk much about herself. Still, she felt genuine. I trusted her. The only thing that felt off was the kids. I asked to meet them on our calls more than once. Leah always had a reason why they couldn't join. One was napping, the other was at school, or they were on a play date with a friend.
Yeah, like it depends. If you just called once and they said yeah they're busy, not a big deal. But if it's like 4, 5, 6 times, they're busy, they're busy, they're busy, they're busy. Do you even have kids, bro?
She promised I'd meet them the second I arrived.
Uh huh.
It felt a little strange, but I figured I'd see them soon enough. Leah sent me a formal agreement. Everything looked proper, and we agreed on my start date. I booked my flight, packed my life into a suitcase, and said goodbye to Canada. When I landed at Charles de Gaulle, Leah wasn't there. That surprised me. From everything I had heard, most host families meet their au pairs at the airport. But then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Leah, telling me that she was stuck in traffic and instructed me to go to the side drop-off area where she'd have me picked up.
Okay.
I remember using Google Translate on her message because it sounded like she was going to have someone else pick me up, and I wanted to double-check. I was right, and that made me confused and a little unsettled.
Yeah.
Despite that, I followed her instructions. A few minutes later, a car drove up, and a woman approached, late 40s maybe, with short blonde hair and a bright smile. She looked nothing like Leah. She introduced herself as Leah's cousin and said, "You must be Leah's au pair. She sent me to get you." I hesitated. Something...
I hate when people do this, bro. It's like you're waiting for a specific person, and then it's someone else, and then you don't even know this Leah person yet. She seems great, but again, I don't think she has any kids. I don't think she has any kids. And then again, for you to come to Canada to Paris, like anywhere to Paris, like a different country, US to Paris, anywhere from anywhere, different country to Paris, it's like, bro, like you're literally leaving your country, but especially this, like you're in Canada versus, you know, like Europe and everything, right? It's like, it's far away, right? It's not like you can, obviously you could just hop on a plane and come back, but it's like, I don't like this. Like you're literally in a different country, like you don't know the language really. Like you had to use Translate already, and it's like, bro, that's fucking terrifying. Like it's like if I went to the States, it'd be a bit better because at least I can speak the language, right? Still a bit weird because it's like I traveled here and then I still now I have to trust some random person. Like I don't like this, bro. I don't like this.
Something felt off immediately. I asked her if I could talk to Leah and unlocked my phone. She told me that Leah was probably still driving and assured me that she'd be waiting for me at home.
Right.
I called Leah anyway, and it went straight to voicemail. It didn't even ring. The woman kept telling me that I'd be fine with a huge smile on her face.
You'll be fine. Like, bro, come on now, really? Like, that's probably what she was thinking. You'll be fine. You'll be fine soon enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like, bro, people are so fucked, bro.
I was confused, but also exhausted from the flight. And what was I supposed to do? Stand there in the airport forever? So I did what she said.
Again, like you're literally, like you're in France
now. The
now.
woman kept the conversation going non-stop as we drove. She asked about my flight, my life in Canada, and if I was excited to start my new job. But when I tried to steer the conversation back to Leah or the children, she brushed it off. Just said that I'd love them and that I'd see them soon. I started to feel worse and worse about the whole situation. She was too polished, too eager to keep me talking without actually answering anything.
I'm kind of going, like, again, I feel like there is no kids. I feel like, I don't know, like, am I the only way, like, maybe it's just me. It could just be me thinking, you know, I listen to a lot of horror stories. I feel like I kind of sense something devilish here. I mean, it's a horror story. It's obviously gonna be bad. But when she's saying you'll see them soon enough, Why do I feel like they passed away or something, and there are no kids now, and they passed away or something, and they're gonna murder her, and then they're gonna say, oh yeah, like you'll see them soon, like in heaven. That's kind of what I was thinking, and I was like, "Ugh, I really hope not." That's just me. I don't know if that's just a random thought I had. I really hope it's not true, but there's obviously a malicious intent here, some ill will going on. So it's like there's obviously something bad going on. So I really hope that's not it.
The scenery outside began to change. I had the address in Google Maps, and the route we were taking didn't match. We were heading away from the suburbs and into what looked like an industrial type area.
Oh no.
I started panicking. I felt like I was in the process of being abducted. I asked her directly where we were going, and she responded lightly, calling it a shortcut, again repeating that Leah was expecting us. I felt the blood drain from my face. I knew at that point that she was lying. I told her to take me back to the airport, but she didn't answer. I told her I'd call the police if she didn't take me back to the airport, and she told me to relax. But I wasn't letting up. No matter what I said, she just kept repeating herself about Leah and insisted that I was overreacting. The next time the car slowed down, I kicked the door open and jumped out onto the street.
Yes.
The woman didn't drive off. Instead, she kind of just looked at me like I was the one who was acting crazy. I called my mom, who told me to get away from the car, get somewhere safe, and call for help. As I was talking to my mom, I looked through the windshield and noticed the woman now on her phone, speaking rapidly in a language I didn't recognize. It wasn't French, and it definitely wasn't English. I couldn't shake the gut feeling that she was talking to Leah. There wasn't another car in sight, but under no circumstance was I getting back in that vehicle. Eventually, the driver's side door opened, and the woman took a step towards me. I screamed that I was on the phone with the police, and that actually got her to stop. Without saying another word, she went back to the car, threw my suitcase onto the road, and then sped off. I got the license plate as she drove away, but I was on the verge of tears with my mom still on the phone. I ended up hitchhiking to one of my friends' houses. I honestly don't know what I would have done without that option. My friend's family helped me report everything to the police, and eventually even agreed to help me with the fare back to Canada, which I was beyond grateful for. Eventually, they updated me on what the police informed them. Apparently, there was no registered au pair family by Leah's name. The number Leah used was prepaid and untraceable. All the photos of the children were taken from the internet. Everyone I talked to about this tells me the same thing. I was moments away from being trafficked. The worst part about that whole thing was that I wasted all that money on those plane tickets and traumatized myself permanently. Looking back, I know how lucky I am. I was moments away from something terrible, something I can barely let myself imagine. The whole situation was calculated from start to finish, and if I hadn't trusted my gut, I might not be here to tell the story. It took some time, but I eventually made my way back to France, this time through a verified agency. I'm hoping to eventually fulfill residency requirements and become a permanent citizen here.
Okay, that's cool. Damn, bro. That's crazy, bro. Like, oh my god, like, I'm glad that she survived, obviously. I'm glad that she was able to freaking make it and, like, live to tell the tale, obviously, right? But it's like, these people are fucked up, bro. Like, I just don't even know what to say. About the second story, what happened in the second story? I already forgot. Yeah, the person. Yeah, so basically, again, like you think you're matching with someone that's all good and good, you know, like that's all great, nice to you and everything, and like vibes with you and all this crap, and then it just turns out that it was all stolen, basically. Like, that's just so messed up. Like, I hate when people do that shit. I really hate when people do that, because then it just makes you think that, like, you're actually vibing with someone, like you have a connection, and then one day you have to leave them in, like, literally seconds because they're obviously crazy, right? Like, they stole your ID, they're literally on your Instagram, taking all the details. Like, yeah, none of it was by chance. It was all basically planned. It was all just like that. And then the third story, again, like, that was very probably close to human trafficking. At first, I was like, yeah, like, are they gonna kill her or something? Like, I was just thinking, yeah, like, do they even have kids? Which obviously they don't, and they didn't, because it wasn't even an au pair family, but like, really, like, that's what I mean. Like, if you didn't have your friends in Paris or France, then you would have been on your own. You literally would have been on your own. You don't know anybody there. You have nowhere to get back. Like, you're literally fucked. That's why I'd rather just stay in my fucking country. I'm in Canada. Just stay fucking here. Don't do nothing. Don't go nowhere. Don't go to work. Don't do nothing. Just chill. No, okay, go to work and everything, but bro, like, be careful traveling and stuff like that, because that's just insane. Anyways, going back to the things about the comments. So Brandon could legit be a serial killer one day. He probably already is one. Pisses me off that parents believed everything he said, and killing animals is hella messed up. Exactly. Like some people, I feel like some people consider people that kill animals are worse than killing humans, because like animals are just so innocent. Like, you know what I mean? When you kill an animal, it's like, oh my god, like what the fuck is wrong with you? Obviously, if you kill a person, it's the same thing. But it's like, I feel like I feel like people think you're more evil when you kill an animal. In the first story, I honestly believe that the girl was in a fire was a blessing in disguise, 100%. His parents were in denial, and his behavior was only escalating, and who knows what that evil kid would have done had she remained there. She would have died 100%. She would have died 100%. All three of these stories, there was a chance of death, which is a terrifying part. The last one, easily you could have been freaking killed. The second one, that guy, like again, you thought it was great. He could have freaking murdered you in his apartment. And then the first story was 100% high risk of death. Once I was getting into all that, I was like, oh my god, bro, leave now. The first story pissed me off rather than scare me. That's very true. The first story made me nauseated. He's going to hurt a lot of people someday, and his parents are enabling him. Like, I believe you. Now, the things I don't blame the parents for is if the necklace is in the girl's purse, and like you're gonna obviously think that she stole, right? But it's like with all this stuff that the mom already kind of told the parents about the kid. Again, it could be the mom planning everything, or it could be the girl planning everything and trying to make the kid seem like the bad guy, right? So I guess like there's, people can do crazy things to like make you think, oh yeah, this person's the bad guy, but they're not, right? People have an evil way of doing things, okay? So it's like, who really knows? But they definitely should have taken her concerns a lot more seriously than they were. I just don't get how in the first story the parents are aware enough to warn her that the child was attitude problems, but in every instance, yeah, that's very true. It's like you already know the kid has issues, but then it's like anytime he does something, or the girl says, yeah, this kid, your kid did this, pfft, nonsense. Killing small animals is a sign of early stages of a serial killer, 100%. He's probably a serial killer right now. I hope he's in jail. I don't even know how old he is, 10 years old. go to jail, or go to like a mental health asylum. Not even being rude, but like you need to get your mental health checked 100%. How criminals and serial killers are made. Another serial killer in the making. Serial killer and rapists. Well, let's hope neither, but probably a killer. Those first parents, they'll learn eventually. Unfortunately, it'll be in the hard way, 100%. Yeah, my little angel would never do that after the kid is caught in the act of committing a crime. Very true. I feel like the parents could have came in, seen the girl dead on the bed with the son holding a knife. Oh, it wasn't your fault. They would have literally done anything. Like, ugh. The first story pissed me off so bad. Ignore red flags. I can't wait to watch reactions to this, because these parents are fucked up. Imagine about 10 years, the parents, he was always such a sweet boy, right? Like, fuck off, bro. Like, don't even. Mr. and my fans are so chill. I wish we could all just sit around a campfire and tell scary stories to each other. But then again, you never know. You never know who the bad people are. People who watch horror stories could be a horror story, you know what I mean? Like, I've listened to this channel for so many years, and this one, Life is Crazy, I'm so excited you post this video. Yeah, now I actually kind of like all pair videos, because at first I was like, this is going to seem boring, but then I looked it up and I was like, this is going to seem good. Like, you're in a foreign country and then shit's going to go down? Oh no. Oh my god, I almost got kidnapped. Also her. I think I'll hitchhike now. You don't really have a choice, do you? Yeah, what else was she supposed to do? Walk? Yeah. But like, what if you walk for hours? I'm not walking. Like, The parents were doing her a favor by firing her. Who knows what psycho was going to what that psycho was going to do next if he stayed on it any longer. I'm just going to read this comment last, and then that's it. I gotta get ready for my appointment. Most people don't have Brian Mills, Liam Neeson as a dad. She's incredibly lucky that her reckless decisions didn't lead to a complete tragedy. The last young woman really frustrated with her naivety. Naivety? Is that even a word? Naivety? It's fine to find an au pair family without an agency, but at least be smart about it. She didn't even meet or interact with the children or via video call. Yeah, definitely kind of confirm that first. She never bothered to verify if Leah even existed. A simple reverse image search of a photo of the supposed children, looking up the family surname, or checking Leah's social media could have confirmed her identity, but she just took this person's word as truth. She's incredibly lucky it didn't end in the worst possible way. Brandon is textbook definition of a future serial killer. Start with animals, that's a huge red flag. I get that you want to think, oh yeah, you know, like your kid is so your kid is so nice, your kid is so innocent. That's not always the fucking case, bro. You can't just fucking trust your kids all the time. This is a 40. Oh my god, it's a 40-minute video. But you can't always trust your kids. Is it good to trust your kids? Of course. Like, let's say they say, oh my god, something happened to me. Trust them. But it's like, bro, if there's red flags everywhere, you already know they have attitude problems, bro. Take it more seriously. Come on now. Like, this is exactly what's wrong with people and the world. Like, people just think, oh, it's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be fucking fine. Anyways. I'll see you guys in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to give it a like, comment down below. Be sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you guys in this video. Once again, sorry for the late upload today, but a really good video today. I loved it. Just fucking terrifying. Again, I have an appointment in about 40 minutes now. Gotta leave in about 10-20 minutes. 20 minutes probably. Yeah. And yeah, I will see how that goes. It's just for my eyes. Just a checkup. So, anyways, I'll see you guys later. Deuces. Peace.